Hi, I'm Danielle and I'm an IBD dietitian. This video is for you if you've been wondering if you can eat pizza after being diagnosed with ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Is pizza bad for ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease? Researchers have come to a general consensus that the typical Western diet could be increasing the prevalence of IBD. The Western diet has a heavy emphasis on meat, omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids, and simple sugars, the fast foods so prevalent in our society. And this eating style promotes inflammation. Pizza, unfortunately, is a food that can be categorized into the Western diet. However, pizza can feel like a slice of normalcy. So while it's a food that may not be recommended to consume 6 times a day every day, there may be a case to be made for enjoying pizza occasionally, if you can tolerate it. Let's talk about specific IBD food triggers that can affect pizza tolerance. Pizza contains a few of the more common food triggers reported by IBD warriors, including lactose, high dietary fat, and red meat, like for example pepperoni or sausage if used as a topping. And some IBD warriors may be sensitive to other ingredients used in the pizza, such as tomato used in the pizza sauce or gluten in the crust. Notably, there can be a dose-dependent effect when consuming these foods. So for example, consuming 6 slices of pizza will contain more dietary fat than 3 slices of pizza per serving. However, please note, while there are some food triggers that are more common for people with IBD, different guts tolerate different foods differently with this condition. So your food triggers may be totally different than someone else with the condition. Does cheese aggravate ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease? Cheese can aggravate UC or Crohn's if an IBD warrior is lactose intolerant. Lactose is a sugar found in milk and dairy foods. The lactose sugar, which is a type of carb, is complex in structure. So to digest lactose properly, people need to have a specific enzyme in the small intestine, and that enzyme is called lactase. So if you have trouble digesting lactose or lactose intolerance, you may have diarrhea, bloating, stomach pain, and gas 30 to 90 minutes after consuming dairy products. So if you're lactose intolerant, your healthcare team may have recommended you to follow a lactose-free diet to prevent additional symptoms and discomfort on top of an IBD flare you may be having. But food intolerances are unique for IBD warriors, and many people with IBD are just fine with dairy, which would make a lactose-free recommendation unnecessary. If you're lactose intolerant, it may be helpful to note that different dairy products contain different amounts of lactose. For example, 1 cup of milk contains about 12.5 grams of lactose, whereas 1 ounce of cheddar cheese contains 0.05 grams of lactose. Additionally, keep in mind there's a dose-dependent effect. So the cheese on 4 slices of pizza will contain twice as much lactose as 2 slices of pizza. Can lactase enzyme tablets help? If you have lactose intolerance, certain products are now widely available that can allow you to enjoy eating dairy-containing foods. One example that's worked for my husband with Crohn's, and he is totally lactose intolerant, but when he wants to partake in eating pizza, he uses over-the-counter lactase enzyme tablets, also known as dairy pills. The enzymes found in these supplement tablets are natural lactase enzymes, like those naturally found in our guts that break down that milk sugar, that lactose, to help reduce discomfort. While my husband with Crohn's appreciates that these lactase enzyme tablets aren't a perfect fix, they really can help his symptoms greatly when he's in a pinch and chooses to eat and enjoy pizza. When asking if you can still eat pizza with ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, another concern is the ingredients, known when buying a frozen pizza, for example. So when buying a frozen pizza when you have IBD, the first place to start is to look at the ingredients on the food label. Because if the product is formulated with an ingredient that doesn't fit your needs, like say it contains an ingredient that's a food trigger for you, or is not part of your eating style or the medically recommended diet you're on, there's really no point in spending time or energy looking further at that particular product. A good rule of thumb for ingredients when you have IBD is to try to stick with names you can pronounce. For example, researchers are exploring whether certain food additives, such as emulsifiers with names such as maltodextrin, carrageenan, xanthan gum, and more, may pose risks with respect to promoting inflammation and triggering disease activity in people with IBD. Because these food additive ingredients are generally the mark of highly processed food, there's a case to be made for seeking out some simple swaps to reduce the number of these ingredients in your eating plan in favor of more whole or more minimally processed alternatives. Something I help my clients do is to find IBD-friendly items at their preferred grocery store based on their specific food triggers. But here are 3 traditional frozen cheese pizza brands that are more minimally processed in comparison to other options out there. And please note, I'm not paid or sponsored to mention any of these products. Home Run Inn Classic Cheese Pizza, Kirkland Signature Cheese Pizza, and Rao's Homemade Brick Oven Pizza. Please note that those examples do contain gluten, dairy, and other potential triggers for IBD warriors, so please double check the ingredients on those products just to make sure that they can work for you. Now let's talk about some pizza ingredient substitutions for people with UC and Crohn's, starting with cheese. Did you know that naturally lactose-free is becoming a more common sight on cheeses found in the grocery store? These cheeses are usually aged for a long period of time because, as a general rule, the longer a cheese is aged, the more time the bacteria will have to break down the remaining milk sugars or lactose, resulting in lower overall lactose content. So here are some examples of naturally lactose-free cheese, and please note that I'm not paid or sponsored to mention any of these products or brands. So Boar's Head Canadian cheddar cheese, aged over 1,000 days. Boar's Head's Gold Label imported Swiss cheese, which is aged over 120 days. And Cabot's Extra Sharp cheddar cheese, which they promote as being naturally aged. What about substitutions for gluten-containing crusts? In a lot of online gluten-free pizza crust recipes, you'll find xanthan gum added as an ingredient to help bind the gluten-free crust together. However, I don't recommend using this ingredient when you have Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. So it really is worth doing a bit of experimentation to find which flours you enjoy the taste of and the texture of, and that make you feel good. So I personally enjoy rice and/or buckwheat flour for gluten-free pizza crusts. What about tomato sauce substitutions? If you don't tolerate tomatoes, it can be fun to experiment with alternative pizza sauces. For example, no-mato roasted veggie sauces, like blending up carrots or other roasted veggies, homemade pesto, hummus, and/or olive oil. So can you eat pizza with IBD? Short answer, yes, if tolerated. Pizza is a food that can be categorized into the Western diet, which research has linked to the increased prevalence of IBD, but pizza can feel like a slice of normalcy. So there's a case to be made for enjoying pizza occasionally if you can tolerate it. Work with your IBD dietitian to find a pizza that can work for you and with your individualized food triggers and preferences. Then come up with customized goals as to how often pizza can be incorporated into your eating pattern. Did you find this YouTube video helpful? If so, please let us know by liking it and subscribing to this YouTube channel. Thanks!